Let's podcast. Alongside Joe Giglio, I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, get everything you need to the cloud. Actionable, tangible, like people on the phone, not AI, not crypto, not prediction markets. Like, hey, people here in the state of North Carolina, they're going to answer the phone and help you with your office and print management needs. That is Copiers Plus. That's my Super Bowl ad for the show.
That was well done.
I did my best. They say
You might want to pace yourself today. There's going to be a lot of lifting by you today.
a wise man once said, anybody could podcast on a Monday. And this also happens to be the Monday after the Super Bowl and a Duke Carolina game. Anybody could podcast on a Monday, but we're finding the limits to it.
We've hit it.
Joe Giglio might not be able to podcast on a Monday after the Super Bowl or the Duke Carolina game. You okay, buddy?
No, I'm not. But probably by Thursday.
Are you serious?
Friday? What was the one? The Florida State game a couple years ago. What did it take me?
It should not take you that long to get over a hangover, dude.
No, I don't know. Someone's bad.
It's look, you know I love
I
you.
have
You know
to
I love
retire
you.
bourbon. I think I have to retire from bourbon.
No. I say this because man to man, I love you. You know this.
I do. I love you, Joe.
And I tried to explain to you multiple times.
You have
moderation. There's nothing wrong with bourbon. There's nothing wrong with a gummy. There's nothing wrong with beer. But when you do them all at once,
definitely shotgunning of beers, and
we got Roy Cooper coming into the studio.
I'll probably just try to be quiet, and I have to give him a hard time about a couple of things.
Actually,
that tweet he sent to Reese Davis, man, like that
hurt you. That hurt you deep.
That was like, wow. Oh, okay. You know, shit.
This is reminding me of Final Four Radio Row 2018 in San Antonio, where I had the magically refilling wine glass after I had already consumed a margarita with CL Brown. Because CL Brown's like, yo, they got margaritas at this media party. I'm like, sweet. And then I followed that with some beer. Next thing you know, I'm at a party and Nolan Smith is there. And there's a magically refilling wine glass. And I was so hungover that even Bill Walton, may he rest in peace, was like, hey, Ovies, you okay over there?
You and Ramrod, huh?
Me and Ramrod. He's like, you look how I looked when David Thompson came after me. The devil wears red. Okay. So that's what this is reminding me of.
Yeah, just pace yourself.
Yeah.
See if I can break off a couple of takes. Might as well start with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's start with the Super Bowl.
I've only got one for you.
You know what, real quick?
Yeah.
You're actually illustrating why we need to expand the schedule, get to 18 games, push the playoffs back so that we get to President's Day weekend. Right. And therefore you have Monday off because you are the living example of, man, this Super Bowl on a Sunday, go to work on a Monday, ain't it?
It's very difficult. I'm gonna power through here for you.
Power through.
First of all, obviously, the obvious point from last night, Seattle's defense is very good. Second obvious point, Mike McDonald did a really good job. It felt very Belichickian, and to have a little bit of a ruse, a little bit of a card up your sleeve that he played with the different blitzes. And I was reading Bill Barnwell this morning about they've only done it they're like the fewest. They have the team that blitzes the least in the NFL, essentially, one of them anyway. And so to kind of do something in the first half, and then at halftime, you're thinking, oh, they're going to go make adjustments. Nope, they did something completely the opposite too. So their defense, great game plan, really well done by Mike McDonald. All of these coaches were looking for the next great offensive mind, right? And here we are in a Super Bowl that was the oldest of formulas: defense and run the football with Kenneth Walker. I believe. I have a stat here for you. I believe Kenneth Walker is the first offensive player to win the MVP without scoring a touchdown or throwing a touchdown. I believe that's because I was just looking up I didn't look up the whole list, But if you think about it, it's really difficult. He probably shouldn't have been the MVP given the way that Seattle's defense played.
Well, you can't give it to the entire defense, right? I also, for a while there, once the game broke open because of the defense, for a while there, I was of the opinion that game deserved a punter or a kicker for the MVP. I mean, the kicker did break a Super Bowl record with the most made field goals. The punting, this was a true ball knowers Super Bowl.
Okay.
And the Super Bowl is supposed to be entertaining. We've been spoiled by some Super Bowls as of late, but that definitely was a throwback to a stinker of a game on the surface. But those who love to eat tape will tell you that this was a ball knower Super Bowl. Like, to your point, the defense and what Mike McDonald was able to do, the pressure that they were putting on Drake Maye, Mike Vrabel getting out coached and almost playing a little too tentative because of the way that the Seahawks defense had come out. And it wasn't until late where you're like, oh, there's the Drake Maye deep ball that we've been seeing all season long. It's funny, Drake Maye objectively had a terrible game. Seahawks had a lot to do with it, but he also had two of the best throws of the night. That's the kind of night it was for Drake Maye.
Objectively, he had a very mediocre playoffs. He had an unbelievable regular season.
Yes.
I can agree that he should have been the MVP during the regular season because of the players around him. But I also think everything caught up to the Patriots last night. As good as Seattle was, and they won the game. But I think everything caught up to the Patriots last night. Mm-hmm. And I talked about this all year long. When you block punts and you return kicks and you get a pick six or a fumble off somebody's head, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? You mean I can't rely on that? That's not a steady diet of how this is going to happen for us?
Weird.
And then you look at their skill players. You know, Kenneth Walker. Mm-hmm. Seattle was missing one of their really good running backs. And Jackson Smith and Giglio obviously didn't have the kind of game that he's been having for the Seahawks all year. And of course, that's a credit to the Patriots and their defense. But you look at New England's skill players and you're like, man, you're asking a whole lot of Drake Maye with Ramondre Stevenson and Mac Hollins, who ends up being their leading receiver, Demario Douglas. It's just, who are these guys? And you would think, one thing I thought going into this game, I thought the Patriots would struggle offensively. I thought they would have a game like this where it all kind of catches up to them. But you'd have thought the tight end, like, I know a lot of props were on Hunter Henry, tight end for the Patriots. And it's just like, sometimes your best friend is that, the old Phillip Rivers. It's your running back and your tight end. Mm-hmm. And they just couldn't get any of that going, especially when you face that type of pressure that he was under.
I don't think this is not meant to be mean-spirited. This is meant to kind of illustrate my thought process as I was watching the game. I was supposed to drop by the Giglios yesterday, but the kids made plans, and then next thing you know, Kelly got consumed by the couch monster, and we were just we weren't moving. So I was like, all right, well, it looks like I'll be settled in for the night and watch the game and everything else. And as I'm watching Drake Maye get exposed in the you're watching offensive line dudes literally get pushed back into him multiple times. Yeah. You're seeing breakdowns on the offensive line that led to a pass rush that was just open season on Drake Maye, right? As this is happening, I'm thinking to myself, all right, we got the Sam Darnold, I see ghosts, okay? And Sam Darnold has this great redemption arc to this, put him on the scrap heap post Jets after the Panthers. Where is he going to go? He has a little bit of a redemption arc with Minnesota. But of course, the Sam Darnold of it all is the reason why nobody could actually take the Seattle Seahawks seriously, because everything was, look at their metrics, look at their defense, look at their skill position players. I believe this is the first number one DVOA football team to go and win the Super Bowl since 2013. That's how good Seattle was metrics-wise. But there was the Sam Darnold of it all. Yeah. And Sam Darnold, and I thought it was interesting what he said after the game, where he was like, I wasn't really happy with my game, but you know what? Defense did a great job. Like, he understood what his role was in this game. Don't make any mistakes. The Sam Darnold of it all. Because that's what happened in Minnesota last year. It was, hey, man, great team, this, and that. And then Sam Darnold happened. Everybody's been waiting for it to happen. Did not happen in this game. So that's a credit to Sam Darnold, man. Incredible story arc for him. But he was the one who said, I see ghosts. And that followed him the entire time. I cannot help but think that while the offensive line play was a disaster for the Patriots, that Drake Maye was having the same thought. I see ghosts. I see ghosts of my time in Chapel Hill. The only thing, like, I'm sure at some point, Drake Maye looked over at the sideline and he saw Mike Vrabel. And for like a brief moment, he thought Mike Vrabel was wearing the shiny UNC puffy jacket like Mac Brown would wear. This is a big game, the biggest game of the season, and things are falling apart, and we're not in this game. I see ghosts. That's what I thought of with Drake Maye, that he's seen this before. I'm sure a lot of Carolina fans that were watching were also of the opinion like, oh, shit, I've seen this. I saw this at Keenan plenty of times with Drake Maye. Plenty of times with Drake Maye.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
This is from a 7:04. This fourth quarter just started, but Super Bowl 60 is reminding me a lot of Super Bowl 50. Appropriate. Unfortunately for Drake Maye, he was there when he was 13, and he watched the Panthers go through this kind of a slog and lose. Then he got to experience it himself. Ovies already hit on the Drake Maye, Cam Newton, Patriots, Panthers comparison. Great defense, weak schedule. Here are some others. Terrible O-line play. Opponent with an elite defense. Offense getting dominated. Same building. A little bit of a problem there. It's from an 804. Crazy that Drake Maye spectated both Super Bowl 50 and 60 in Santa Clara. I see what you did there.
I'm just mad because I had an exact score ticket for this game, and I picked 24-10 because that was the final of Super Bowl 50.
Oh, look at you. Look at you. And I thought this text to the OG Sports phone was fascinating, and I feel like this is an appropriate time to discuss it. And it is about the equivalent to Law of the Wolf. Joe, for those who are unfamiliar with Law of the Wolf, would you like to put it in a succinct manner?
When you expect the most, you get the least. But when you expect the least, you get the most.
So we got this text to the OG Sports phone, and it reads, as a Carolina fan, I think I've discovered our version of the Law of the Wolf. It's called Schrodinger's Heels. UNC football cannot be both successful and noticed by UNC fans at the same time. Exhibit A. All those Mac Brown teams started off strong for 8 games until the broader fan base started caring, then they'd fall apart. Exhibit B. Drake Maye played pretty well until all the UNC fans got excited about the Super Bowl, and now he can't complete a pass. Addendum to that, after I had received that text, screen grabbed it, and put it out on social media, what did Drake Maye do?
Finally hit a couple passes.
Got a touchdown.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all right, everybody's excited. They're here. Everybody's checked out. And then next thing you know, Drake Maye's throwing a touchdown, right? To make it somewhat interesting there. Exhibit C. All the attention for Belichick tanked the first part of the season. And when everybody stopped paying attention, they got a tiny bit more competent. Now, Exhibit C is a little bit of a stretch, especially considering they went 0 in the Big Four.
Yeah.
Wake Forest, Duke, and NC State, both the Wake Forest and NC State games were very embarrassing for Bill Belichick, right? But I could see what you're getting at. All the attention was on Bill Belichick, the TCU game, all eyes are watching, and then they just crapped themselves. And then while everybody was checked out doing other stuff, they got incrementally better, or they looked like they weren't an incompetent football team until it got to crunch time against the Big Four, and the rest is history. You think there's something to this theory when it comes specifically to UNC football?
Yeah, it's actually really good.
Because it's not basketball. Because as you say with basketball,
oh man, come on, please don't get me started.
If something good could happen for Tar Heels,
please. You guys did a great job on Saturday, by the way.
I was just being the traffic cop.
I enjoyed Alex. He was hooping it up with you.
Oh yeah.
And then I was watching yesterday, and then I'm seeing you're like, oh, someone's at the door. Like
somebody was pounding on the door, man. And then then he eventually texted. Hayes was on this.
So it was fun.
Yeah, Hayes was on this thing like pounding on the door as if I would know.
Yeah,
why somebody is pounding on the door.
So I thought that was really good. I thought some of the stuff was very predictable.
Mhm.
I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah, we'll get into that in the next segment. We'll get to the next.
Not from you, but I'm saying like the reaction. And some of this other stuff. It's like,
yeah. Well, I mean,
okay. But I one thing I really, really, really did love is that Caleb Wilson went out to Franklin Street.
Yeah, that was good.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Duke Carolina game in the next segment. Obviously, we got a big basketball game tonight because it's always on the next one. You got NC State and Louisville. The Will Wade sheets might get some work tonight. We shall see, right?
Speaking of getting some attention, a little Big Monday slot.
Yeah,
ESPN.
Nice to see you for NC State and Will Wade. Two other things from the Super Bowl. Do you want to discuss the ads or you want to discuss the halftime show? Speaking of predictable reactions.
Yeah.
The Bad Bunny halftime show. Actually, let's start with the halftime show. I am curious, as somebody who does not know Bad Bunny all that well, like who he is.
Yeah. I know him more for being on Happy
WWE,
Gilmore
right?
too.
And that, yeah, that's right. Because he's done some wrestling stuff and he was in Happy Gilmore too, right? So as somebody who is not familiar with Bad Bunny's music, were you sober enough to know what was going on with the Super Bowl halftime show?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. I mean, it was enjoyable, but not really.
Okay. You weren't sober.
No.
Okay.
No.
Do you remember anything from the Super Bowl halftime show?
Not really. No.
Incredible.
I can't even fake that one for you. So that's why I said you'll have to do some lifting on this one. Was it good?
I thought it was good. Yeah. I mean, look.
Were there any surprise guests or was it just him?
Lady Gaga coming out to do a salsa remixed version of Die With a Smile was not on my bingo card. And she, look, I'm a huge fan of Lady Gaga to begin with. The fact that she had Bad Bunny's Puerto Rican live instrumentation backing band to do that version of Die With a Smile, I thought was fantastic. There was also little Easter eggs throughout. Like they dropped a little Daddy Yankee, a little Gasolina. There was a little reference to Gasolina. And then Ricky Martin came out. I was not expecting Ricky Martin, which I thought was fantastic.
Nice.
Ricky Martin, man, like that dude does not age. He looks the exact same as he did with Living La Vida Loca back in the TRL days, man.
Him and Rob Lowe.
Yeah. It is uncanny in how they're able to do that. So like the thing about Bad Bunny is twofold, right? There is what he was hoping to accomplish with the halftime show. And from a technical level, if you're just looking at it from a technical level, it was pretty impressive what they were able to pull off with the set in terms of the moving pieces and the set design and everything else that kind of came along with it, right? So technically speaking, it was pretty freaking impressive what he was able to do. But I get there's a history of Puerto Rico tied into that. The history of Puerto Rico is not too dissimilar on its basic levels of outside interests and what to do with the island and sugarcane and everything else. It's not too dissimilar to Cuba. I'm not saying Puerto Rico and Cuba are the same. I'm just saying there are some through lines in colonization and how those islands have had to deal with American interests. Okay. So a lot of that stuff did hit on a historical note. One thing about Caribbean, Latin American music is that it'll make you dance because the rhythms are infectious. But if you actually ever pay attention to the lyrics, there's some like really dark stuff that they will talk about. There's a very famous track by a guy named Joe Arroyo called Rebellion.
Well, isn't okay, go ahead.
So anyway, the point about this track called Rebellion is that if you just listen to it, you're like, shit, man, I want to dance to this. If I'm at a wedding, I'm having a great time. And then when you actually pay attention to it or read the English translation, it's like, hey, how about everybody gather around? We're going to talk about when they put black people on ships and brought them over here, right? Like, it can get pretty damn political, right? All that aside, the imagery of that stuff, if it sparks interest in history for you, awesome. Then Bad Bunny accomplished the goal. But the whole point of the halftime show is to entertain, okay? And on that basic level, it absolutely entertained. And the best way that I can describe it is the reaction by non-Spanish speaking people, aka the whites, if you will, is similar to every wedding I've ever been to, including my own, where the whites are like, oh, I don't know about the cultural differences. And doesn't matter. Once the music starts playing and everybody's dancing, they're going to have a good time. The vibe is just immaculate and everybody's going to be on the dance floor. And the one thing that actually got me personally was there was a sequence where an actual couple got married during the halftime show.
Yesterday?
Yes. The way the story goes is that this couple, big Bad Bunny fans, they reached out to Bad Bunny as like a joke of, hey, we're inviting you to the wedding. Bad Bunny said, how about this? I'll do one better. How about you get married at the halftime show? So they did an actual ceremony in the middle of the halftime show that then broke out into what you would get at a typical Hispanic wedding reception. And the part that got me, because I've been this kid and my kids have been this kid, they had a kid asleep on top of chairs and all the jackets that the dudes had taken off or the coats the women had taken off, just asleep on a bunch of chairs while everybody was dancing. And then Bad Bunny wakes him up. I was like, man, if that's not every Hispanic wedding, I don't know what is, right? And, all the cultural signifiers, you had the abuelos playing dominoes. They had little cafecito. In Puerto Rico, it's all about the coco frio, like all that kind of stuff, right? All these little cultural signifiers are really, really good. But the bottom line is that, is he an entertainer? Yes. Does he know how to put on a show? Yes. Is the music very, very catchy and infectious? Absolutely. So I think for the most part, everybody enjoyed the halftime show. I don't know.
Except for those who were predisposed not to.
I mean, but that's true. But in defense, like every halftime show, like shout out to one of these grifters. I think the guy's name is Matt Walsh, right? I will admit I'm not that versed into the whole conservative grift, okay? But there's this one dude named Matt Walsh that pops up. And if you do a search history of him on Twitter, every Super Bowl halftime show, he's complaining.
Okay.
Every single one. It's almost like it doesn't matter who the halftime performer is. They just want to make this big grand statement about how I'm not watching. I think he's like the same dude that says, I'm never watching the NBA again. He's said that at least 6 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a grift to it. There's just this natural inclination to just want to be mad at everything, which that was the antithesis of the halftime show. The halftime show was about joy. The halftime show was about people being seen and having fun, which is the point of these halftime shows. And if the idea that promoting inclusion or acceptance or any number of things that were on display, if that in some way somehow feels like you're being attacked, then you might have to do some soul searching as to why you feel that saying, hey man, love is stronger than hate somehow offends you. Yeah. If that's the case, then you might have to do some soul searching on that. But I thought the halftime show was good. And honestly, just about every halftime show, people are going to have a problem with it regardless of it, especially with newer artists. The real question is, where the hell do they go next?
Where is the Super Bowl next year?
I forgot where the Super Bowl is. Anyway, I actually don't know.
I do like it when they try to tie the city to,
That's usually good, which would explain why John Bon Jovi was all over my Super Bowl.
Maybe.
He's not from there, man. He's a Jersey boy. Why was he all over my damn Super Bowl screen, including the commercials? John Bon Jovi was having a moment, man. Anyway, that was the halftime show. And then you had the ads. The only thought I had in the ads was I feel like the halftime show has become all right, what has hit a saturation point and is now going to be on the decline?
Okay. In what sense?
Well, used to be dating apps. And then the dating apps became they just in decline. Everybody started hating the dating apps. Then it was crypto.
Yeah.
Remember, everything was crypto there for a hot minute. Like, oh man, get in while the getting's good. Usually the first sign of trouble is when people are telling you, you got to get on the next big thing. Well, then why are you telling me about it? Wouldn't you want to keep that to yourself? Mm-hmm. Right? So crypto came and went, and obviously we've gotten the crypto crash that has happened from that. AI, more crypto, prediction markets, weight loss, and digital de-aging. Couple thoughts.
Digital de-aging?
Did you see the Jurassic Park commercial?
No.
So
what is digital de-aging?
They basically digitally de-aged all the actors from
you put them
Jurassic
back
Park
in their state when they were in the movie.
They did the same thing with the Duncan commercial. Did you see the Duncan commercial with all these 90s icons, including Ben Affleck, and then Jennifer Aniston shows up and she's like, how do you like them? It was Good Will Hunting. But what if Good Will Hunting was in a Dunkin' Donuts was the bit? Okay. And Tom Brady shows up, and every single one of the actors, like from Matt LeBlanc to Ben Affleck to Urkel, they were all digitally de-aged in some form or fashion. But the part, and I know I'm not the first one to bring this up, but I can't help but use this as an example. And I think Jurassic Park is a perfect example of this. How is it that a movie that came out in 1993, I think it came out in 1993, how does that have better effects than the stuff that's coming out in 2026? You would think by now that we've gotten better at this. You'd think by now the technology has gotten to the point where digital effects are off the charts amazing. And instead, I'm watching the digitally de-aged Jurassic Park stuff go through the uncanny valley. And I'm sitting here wondering to myself, how did the T-Rex look real in 1993? And I'm watching this going, well, that's clearly fake. And it's not because I was 14 when the movie came out. All right. Go back and watch Jurassic Park today and you're going, damn, that still looks good.
Yeah.
Right. So what the hell is happening? How cheap have we gotten?
How are we getting worse?
I don't know how we're getting worse. And honestly, I think that was my overall takeaway from the Super Bowl ads, in that we're about time for something new, man, because all these things have run their course and they've all gotten worse in some form or fashion. And I got to imagine that we're just desperate for something new to break out in terms of social media or technological breakthrough. Because like the AI and stuff like that, to me, you want my hot take on the AI? All they've ever been able to show you in these AI commercials is that it's a glorified Google search. That's all they're doing. Like, hey, show me how to cook. Why can't you just Google that? I need a workout plan. You could just Google that, right?
Yeah.
So we are completely out of ideas for sure. Out of ideas. Let's go back to the sports moments as it relates to the Super Bowl, shall we? Let's go to a 336.
I just have to say, I am a Seahawks fan and a state fan, but Phillip Rivers off the couch competed better against this Seahawks team than Drake Maye. See y'all, boys.
Yeah, speaking of Drakes, I know a lot of state fans are out there going, hey, the other Drake had a good game.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying.
Happy for Drake and his family.
To a 919.
It's unfortunate that no triangle quarterback has still won a Super Bowl. You know, considering Russell can forever eat shit.
Hey, but you know what Russell Wilson never did? You know what Russell Wilson never did? Yes, I get the whole pack of Badgers thing and things like that, right? Russell was just a byproduct of wanting to be liked by everybody.
Yes.
So he tried to combine the Wisconsin and the NC State thing into a whole pack of Badgers. That is so on brand for Russell Wilson, it's not even funny. That is absolutely what he would do because he wants to make sure that everybody's happy. He wants to be liked by everybody. What Drake Maye did for the NBC intro, I still don't have a proper answer to. Were you so drunk before the game that you missed this?
No, I was thinking, was it like some sort of Mac Brown solidarity? Like
So here,
or is it Belichick and the Patriots? And I don't know. I mean, it seems odd.
I'm going to present this as is with no commentary. Y'all can come to your own conclusion. Okay. Going into the Duke Carolina game on Saturday, Drake Maye actually was part of it. He actually did a hype video for it. Bubba Cunningham, which I thought was kind of funny in retrospect, the AD at North Carolina is holding an impromptu press conference after the game to explain the court storming thing and address some of the things that were said by John Shire after the game in relation to how raucous it got at the Smith Center. And underneath his, I don't even know how much that blazer probably cost, he's wearing a blue shirt that says, I heart Drake Maye. So clearly there was this concerted effort to show out for the legacy kid who played quarterback at your school, who's now in the Super Bowl. All right. And they're doing as much as they can because Lord knows the football social media isn't going to do anything. And Bill Belichick's not going to do anything about it. So clearly Drake's not like doing the whole, like, I'm not talking about North Carolina anymore. So we get to the Super Bowl, and I had read that Drake Maye had re-recorded the intro to say where he was from in the last 2 weeks because the last time they did it was during training camp. It's usually how it works. NBC goes to every camp and they record all these for the purposes of Sunday Night Football. And then they do a new version once they get to the Super Bowl, the years they have the Super Bowl. And instead of saying North Carolina, which he's clearly still invested in, he says Myers Park. Mac Hollins, who he threw the touchdown pass to, another Carolina guy, another Mac guy, said his high school as well. Did not say North Carolina. Why? Why?
It's got to be something with Belichick and the Patriots, right?
I mean, this petty beef continues because, as TMZ highlighted over the weekend, Jordan Hudson was wearing the Asian Spa logo shirt.
Hey, there's this amazing thing that Duke and Carolina do. How do I make it about me? Oh, I know.
I'll make it. This is what I'll do.
This is what I'll do.
I'll
show you.
I'll make a crass joke at a really, really kind of dicey conversation. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. So that is what happened. I can infer what happened, but I do not know why Drake Maye decided to go Myers Park instead of North Carolina. But I do know this. When we get further away from the Bill Belichick era at North Carolina, we're going to look at moments like this as just an absolute fumbling of what it is to be a college football program. This is supposed to be not just Drake Maye's Super Bowl, but your Super Bowl too, North Carolina. Can you imagine if Phillip Rivers actually got to a Super Bowl? Can you imagine? Right?
And then said Athens High School.
Can you imagine? Right? This is what good football cultures are about. All you got to do is look at any number of SEC football programs. Any jabroni that was on that Super Bowl winning side is getting a XX Super Bowl champ. Penn State puts graphics together that there's been a Penn State player in every Super Bowl except these two. But you see what I'm getting at. It is a point of pride. It is recruiting. It is always be recruiting, ABC. And yet North Carolina could even do the basics with that under Bill Belichick.
Well, this goes back to Willie Parker. Remember, he had beef with John Bunning.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of the original players to divert in their intro. He would say Clinton, home of the dark horses.
Yes.
Yes. So that's unusual. It's definitely unusual.
Very interesting, to say the least.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping is brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
You might need to get Enovana up here to the studio to clean the carpet and whatnot. I was a little worried about you resting up before the podcast today by being on that carpet.
Yeah, I did try to clean it a little bit last week, but probably could use does a vacuum work on this really thick?
Yeah,
it does. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Probably
You'll be
just
fine.
get a new rug at some point.
Well, that would require lifting up all this stuff.
I think that's why we always get that little circle there, right?
Yeah,
like, hey, we should do this, and then we're like,
well, that would require like taking the fridge out and all the it
feels like effort.
It feels a lot of effort. How about we just get a nice deep clean vacuum?
Our friends at Enovana can handle that.
They can do that sort of thing for you. Absolutely. You just had a Super Bowl party. They wrecked your place. Call up Enovana. They can do a one-time cleaning. It's super, super simple like that. We'll have some more information. It's officially college basketball season now, right? The Duke Carolina game on Saturday. Super Bowl is over. All eyes on bracketology and heading into March. And we will have a bourbon and brackets extravaganza at Longleaf. More information tomorrow. How to get tickets, what'll be involved. We kind of previewed it a little bit on the mailbag on Friday, but we'll have all the official details on tomorrow's podcast. Big shout out to Longleaf. You can get OG Light at Longleaf Swine. Shout out to people who were posting their OG Lights from their Super Bowl viewing. Love to see that. Did you use OG Light to make chili?
I didn't put any in the chili, but one of the rules to making chili is you have to drink when you're making it.
Okay, so. Good. We also got the secret stash. Check out theog.shop. Again, that's theog.shop. Mikey P's got some really, really cool designs on there. You can go check that out. We had somebody ask, what kind of merch do you wear to a Duke Carolina game if you're not a Duke or a Carolina fan? You happen to go to state. I said, just wear OG merch, to which I had one dork on Twitter say, so you mean state merch? Yeah, dude, just go to breakingtea.com/OG. There's plenty of stuff there you can wear, including the Dead Conference. Never forget about the Dead Conference. Big thanks to our guy, State Farm. Unlike Joe Giglio, who does not plan ahead, Matt Davis does. Matt Davis is going to plan ahead for your financial future. Yes, you can save money on home and auto. Yes, they're local. More importantly, if you have not thought about your retirement, Matt Davis can help you start thinking about that sort of stuff. So check them out online at insuregarner.com or call them directly at 919-779-8277. Big thanks to Roback. They got some new hoodies. They got new polos coming out all the time. It is the spring collection on deck. They got some great stuff, and you can find it all at roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Again, that's OG20. They'll save 20% off your order. They got some new color block hoodies. I'm still waiting for that bright colored one to come back.
Okay.
But they do have some of the North Carolina based things back in stock that you might want to go check out. So again, rowback.com, use that promo code OG20. And of course, our friends at Bloomin' Blinds, we could not do the After Dark with our guy Chris, our guy Nico over at Bloomin' Blinds. Call them directly at 919-980-9815. BloominBlinds.com. That's INBlinds.com. If you hit them up and tell them you heard about Bloomin' Blinds on this podcast, you get 10 or more window treatments. You're going to get 10% off. So hit up Chris and the crew today at Bloomin' Blinds, 919-980-9815. Our next After Dark will be next Tuesday.
Yes, the 17th.
We've got the State Carolina game. Are we actually going to do that from the arena? Or can we do it back here?
We can. It's up to you.
I got to get credentialed for that, by the way.
Okay.
I have not been credentialed yet. I've been slack. But I'll be back from Buffalo.
You will.
I will be back from Buffalo. I'll be back from Buffalo on Monday night.
I was going to say, you're not here.
Well, I'm technically here all week if you go by broadcast schedule, since we will be doing the mailbag on Thursday morning.
No,
live.
not this. I'm talking about
Monday. I won't be here Monday.
Yeah.
I'll be hopefully in another championship game.
Nice.
With the kids. Well, they'll be in a championship game.
Monday the 16th.
Yes. I will be in Buffalo. Hopefully at the Riverworks, getting another banner with the kids. We shall see. It's our last tournament of the year. Time flies, man.
Yeah.
Time flies. So hit up Chris, Bloomin' Blinds, 919-980-9815. Again, that's 919-980-9815. All right. Speaking of the Duke Carolina game, yes, we had the After Dark. Shout out to everybody who jumped on the After Dark, called the OG Sports phone. We'll have some more OG Sports phone calls when we get to Hey Joe. Thoughts. I mean, I had my initial thoughts. I was a little rusty on the After Darks, to be honest with you, since we hadn't done one since the State Carolina football game.
Yeah.
I always figured, I'm like, oh man, I got to process all in real time while we're watching this stuff. And then you collect some thoughts later and you go, God, I wish I would have said that. I just had this thought. Why did I say it in the podcast? Whatever. Sometimes you got homeless people pounding on the doors to try to get in to give their takes.
That was a good line by you. Yeah.
I mean, dude, Hayes did look homeless, man. I was like, are you okay? I mean, all things considered, he looked worse than you. And he was sober.
Yeah.
So how about that?
Obviously, two different halves, right? You have Duke first half, even without Cam Boozer getting into foul trouble. I appreciate everyone who texted me and said, how did you know?
Well, it turns out it was Gungba ended up being the X factor here when it came to foul trouble. But
yeah.
Yes, to your point, Malik Brown, Cam Boozer, and Gungba all had 2 fouls with 7:30 left in the first half. Gungba picked up his third with 6 minutes to go. And yeah, I mean, that factors in. I'm not offering any sort of opinion on the calls, the officiating, or whatever. It's just that Duke has been a highly efficient machine because the conditions have been right. The conditions were not right for Duke in this game. And yet, despite all that stuff, they had multiple chances to win this game in the end. They just couldn't pull it out. Carolina made more plays.
Yeah, the second half was one of the, well, there does seem to be a pattern to the way that Duke loses. Mm-hmm. They get these leads. They can't close them out. And obviously, that's not what you want. You don't want to have that. Now, the retort there would be, well, we don't lose that much.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be the retort. But I was not surprised that Carolina won the basketball game. I was surprised the way that they won the game to fall behind and come back. I thought they would have started better than they did. And I thought that was surprising to me, but that's also a credit to Duke's defense.
Yeah.
We talked all about Boozer. We talk all about Caleb Wilson. It's always going to be about who supports them. I thought Henry Vessar in the second half of that game was the true difference, because you can't just be one guy.
Yeah.
So in the rule of 3 in basketball, and of course Trimble, I thought was fantastic, and now gets to put his name on the stamp with the rest of the greats who have done it in this series.
I love that.
He's forever now. He's forever part of this thing, and that's cool. That's really cool. So, and would feel the same way for a Duke player if they had made the shot there at the end. You know what I mean? But Carolina now, let's see what they do. They've won 5 in a row since the disastrous California trip. Obviously, they still have these spurts where they trip over themselves.
Yes,
and you're like, hey guys, it doesn't have to be this way. But that's part of, like, this is a new group. So that this whole season is going to be part of learning. And just as we're seeing down the road in Raleigh, I think Carolina is getting better. Just like State has spurts too, where they go and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, we'll talk about State Virginia Tech a little bit later on.
So
I
think
see what you're saying.
It's a new group, and that's where you go back and give John credit. He has a new group every year, and they still figure out a way to play. I thought in the second half of this game, all of the questions that I have about Duke and their supporting cast, going back to I said I'd rather have Carolina's roster than Duke's roster. Going back to that statement, I just have questions about who's going to step up and support Boozer. And in games past, it's been Foster. In games past, it's been Evans. Evans can't be 4 or 14. No. Evans can't have 1-3 in the game.
Dame Sarr did what he was supposed to do.
Well, he showed out. I mean, he showed out.
He also was a guy that Hubert Davis, when it came time to win this game, was like, dude, you can do what you want to do. Sure. I'm making sure that Isaiah Evans remains a non-factor, and obviously we're worried the most about Cam Boozer. But yes, Isaiah Evans was one of those things where, as I said at the start of the segment, going back and processing in real time, and it goes back to our conversations around Duke. I've been so enamored by how Duke has been winning these games since the Texas Tech loss. 10 in a row since that Texas Tech loss. And it's been done mostly old school, like we'll get the Super Bowl. Hey, defense will get you there, right? Duke has been excellent in terms of their defensive pressure. They've been excellent in terms of rebounding, both defensively and getting their own misses. That it has neutralized other teams, that it will mask some of the offensive deficiencies of your supporting players that need to be there consistently. Isaiah Evans is exactly it. In these big games, unfortunately, Isaiah Evans has been not to the level we know he's capable of. And
inconsistent.
Very inconsistent.
I was surprised at the end when it was tied and Duke had what looked like would be the final possession. I was surprised that there was not that ghost screen action that we saw in the Florida game and we've seen in a bunch of other games this year. It just seemed like they were intent on just letting Boozer go to the basket, which is fine.
Yes.
But if you put that ghost screen action in there, it just gives him another option. Like he doesn't have to kick. Like he kicked against Florida, he caught it, he made it. And his look wasn't bad. I mean,
it was a good look at the basket.
I mean, the ball didn't go in. I mean,
so it's interesting.
So I don't get that criticism of John, like, oh, he doesn't draw stuff up or they collapse, and it's like, well, I don't know. I wonder. Mike Young made a really good point after the State game about the way State plays lends itself to other teams making a comeback or having spurts where they don't score, because when you're that reliant on the 3-point shot, I mean, Duke takes a bunch of them, always has taken a bunch of them. So it can lend itself to a comeback like we saw the Houston game, like we saw the Texas Tech game. So I can see where the flaws are for Duke, but bottom line is your best players have to be your best players.
Well, the thing about the threes, specific to Duke, they have not been as reliant on the three, especially during this 10 game in this 10-game win streak leading up to the Carolina game. They have not been so reliant on the three. It has been, again, this very meat and potatoes. We'll rebound in two, right? And to your point about the actions, if there is a criticism for Jon Scheyer, it is not the final plays. To piggyback off what you said, and it's something that people really need to pay attention to here when we talk about Duke and Jon Scheyer specifically. They are, this season, 21-2 after that loss.
Yeah.
Last season, they went 35-4. They lost 3 times in the regular season. Those losses were final possession situations against Kentucky and Kansas, and then a road loss at Clemson, which, stop me if you've heard that one before.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, you've got the Houston Final Four game. They don't lose a lot under Jon Scheyer. And when they do, it is an event of sorts. And you start to really focus in on what went wrong. One thing that I cannot stand, and you've heard me say this, and I will pound the table when it comes to how we talk about other sports not named football. All right? We've done this footballification for every game in sports that are long hauls in the regular season. It's the reason why, and we can talk about this a little bit later on, specific to North Carolina. And the one thing that I can't quite put my finger on and explain, but I know it and I can feel it because it's there. I'll explain in a second. But specific to Duke, when they lose with John Shire, it is a monumental moment now. So you pick it apart, you do the autopsy. And there's this new kind of narrative that is developed for John Shire in that, well, he's really showing you his weaknesses in coaching with ... these final possessions. And it's like, okay, hold up. Let's not be so focused on the final possessions. You tell me what any coach in the country would do if you have Cooper Flagg, the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, who's having a fantastic rookie season. What is John supposed to do in those situations in final game moments? Not get the ball set up for his best players? Like, what do you like to say? I want to die with my fastball. All right, well, if it's a predictable situation, yeah, it should be predictable that Cooper Flagg's going to have the ball at the end. It should be predictable that Cam Boozer's going to have the ball in the end. Those are your best players. They are the guys that have kept you in this the entire time. You absolutely go to those guys in crunch time. That's what you're comfortable with. It just so happened they lost some pretty big, notable games there at the end. Not a lot of them, but obviously they're notable because that's the case. Where the criticism, what I would see as valid criticism is what you just talked about with the action. The action should probably have started with 3 minutes to go. Not, as I was going back over it the other night, where did it go? Where did it go? Boozer at 3:41 made his last bucket, which was a putback of his own. He rebounded his own miss and got the bucket. He then missed at 110, and then he missed with 15 seconds to go, right? And that one with 15 seconds to go over Vasar was a clean look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. It just didn't go in. I mean, what are you going to do? Right. But if you wanted to criticize, it's create that action to maybe get Isaiah Evans, who you always have said, hey, I don't care. You might have gone 4-14. I want that 5th.
Yeah.
All right. Which we've seen.
That was the Florida game. Yeah.
We've seen that.
Yep.
That you always have the confidence that you can hit that 3. All right. And instead, what we've been seeing is a little bit more of a reliance here of, all right, well, screw it. We got 2-3 minutes to go. Cam, go get it. Just like with Flagg last year. Cam, go get it. All that being said, I'll take the last 2 years of going to Cooper Flagg in an ISO, Cam Boozer in an ISO, then, hey, who has been the difference maker all season long in my trio of freshmen? This guy named Zion. I know what I'll do. Because this whole business of like, Shire this, Shire that. I'm like, I'm sorry. The 5-time national champion even gets married to things when he shouldn't get married to things. And he refused to get the ball to Zion when it probably should have gone to Zion instead of insisting on RJ Barrett. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I find the banging on John Shire and the coaching in these moments and the blown leads to be a little bit overblown, mainly because we don't see it very often. I'm more focused on the fact that that's the second loss of the season. I'm more focused on the fact that they lost high-level basketball games. Not, so explain to me how you lost to Georgia Tech at home. Can you explain to me how you went to the West Coast and were embarrassed by Stanford and Cal? You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
So that's why I don't get too worked up about these situations. It just so happens that John has some embarrassing losses in his career early on to the locals. This would be an embarrassing loss to the locals. He got swept by Carolina in 2024. Again, even year Hubert. You got to look out for even year Hubert. And of course, we have the Elite Eight and the ACC championship losing to State, right? In both those situations. Yeah. So for John's career, he's had some pretty high level, we're not going to forget those in 4 seasons of being the coach at Duke, right? But we'll see. He's got a lot of evolving to do and everything else. Specific to Hubert Davis and the footballification of all things basketball. I think the reason why this caught everybody off guard, not everybody, let me rephrase that. I think the reason why we've seen some of the reaction that we've seen, even if I double down on the even year Hubert, I'm having a hard time processing why it is that Carolina cannot get over in terms of mainstream discussion. You have Caleb Wilson, for heaven's sake. You have a great story in Seth Treble, but let's focus on Caleb Wilson. We're focused on AJ DeBansta and Darren Peterson and load management. We got the Cam Boozer stuff, National Player of the Year. And if we all recognize this is a freshman heavy season of college basketball, how is it that Caleb Wilson has struggled to get traction when he's putting up numbers every single night? And on top of that, he's the type of personality that college people should love because he gets it. He gets it. He gets the history of Carolina. He wants to be part of that Carolina lore. He wants to, as he says, put belt to ass with State and Wake Forest on top of beating Duke. So I'm really struggling as to why Carolina cannot get traction here. And I'm left with one theory and one theory only, and that is I think most people, including some Carolina fans, are waiting for the other shoe to drop when it comes to Hubert Davis. I think that's what it is. I think people are just kind of look at Carolina and it's like a waiting game. They're in this weird kind of like narrative purgatory in that you're just waiting for them to move on from Hubert Davis or give you enough data to move on from Hubert Davis. And then we can get to the business of the best job in the country having one of the quote unquote best coaches in the country. It's a line that Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander use all the time on the Eye on College Basketball podcast. They will always say, do you think Carolina is one of the best jobs in the country? They'll tell you it's the best job in the country. I know you're of that opinion. And then that's followed with, do you think Hubert Davis is one of the best coaches in the country? And they'll all to a man say no. So you have that issue. And I think that kind of bleeds over into how people talk about Carolina basketball right now. And I think that's a disservice to Caleb Wilson. I think it's a disservice to Hubert Davis, who, what have we been saying since he got that job? God knows what he's doing. They're still figuring some things out in terms of how to put these rosters together. You might be asking, why did it take so long for Derek Dixon to take over? Why were they insisting on Kyan Evans? Hey, man, we can do that autopsy at the end of the year. The point is they have gone to Derek Dixon, and that Seth Trimble play does not happen without Derek Dixon making a heads-up play. It's actually something that Shire talked about after the game, too, because I saw the press conference on Sunday morning after we did the After Dark. I'm paraphrasing here, but Shire essentially said something to the effect of, like, it's like, that's not what they drew up. He's like, there was something else that was going to happen in that play. But again, credit to Derek Dixon for making the heads up play, seeing Trimble after people had collapsed and he had a wide open look at it and he drained it. So I think the Hubert conversation kind of ties into why Carolina can't seem to get over on national discussions. And that bleeds into Caleb Wilson.
It's wild to think about that. North Carolina's peers are Duke, Kansas, and Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
They're 3-0 against those teams this year.
And yet, what do we get? We get contextualizing. Oh, well, Kentucky's ass. Oh, okay. Well, Kansas and, Darren Peterson. Okay. Why do we keep moving the goalposts here? This is what you wanted, right? And they're doing it. They're having a great season. And I know there's a subset of people out there that are like, damn it. That just means Hubert Davis is going to be back next season. I know that sentiment exists.
Yep.
I know that sentiment exists. Before we move on to the court storming stuff, because I have some additional thoughts on that. You mentioned NC State, Virginia Tech, and NC State's tendency to have a lead and then have that lead get chipped away. And Virginia Tech, I thought it was going to be a blowout at Lenovo on Saturday. And yet, Mike Young's crew kept finding ways to make it a little bit more interesting than it needed to be. So what was Mike Young saying about the way State played?
Essentially, when you take that many threes or rely on the threes, there's going to be spurts in the game where you're not making them.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it allows the other team, to get back at it. I thought Virginia in particular, their size is a tough matchup for NC State. So they did well to start the game really the way that they did. And then they had, Virginia Tech had cut it down to a 3-point game in the second half. And I thought Trey Holloman hit a really big shot. And, State's really figuring some things out. They're figuring out how to be the best versions of themselves. I asked Will about, he said after the SMU game, he said good to great in the locker room to his team. Like it's a mantra that he's trying to get them to buy into. And so I asked him, what is your path from good to great with this team? And he said, we need to be more consistent. We can't have the lapses that we have. But he also said that they're learning to play in a way that will help them.
All right, one note about this court storming, and then we're going to welcome Roy Cooper in the studio, and then we'll get to some OG Sports phone calls and Hey Joe. I'm asking this question in all sincerity, okay? Has there been video of Duke staffers getting punched circulating on the internet. Have you seen them?
Not that I've seen.
I have not seen them. I asked. I don't want to ask on Twitter because I know what that leads to. I asked on Blue Sky, and sure enough, I've had some people say, no, I haven't seen it. I texted some folks that would know. They have also said, have not seen it. I've also heard some other things. Again, this is through third parties about some of the stuff related to what did and did not happen that I'm not comfortable bringing up yet. But it does lead to some questions as to what exactly was Shire getting at. And here's Shire after the game and what everybody's been talking about since Saturday in relation to the court storms.
Questions about the game. For me, it's hard to talk about the game when I was most concerned just for the safety of our players after the game. Like, I don't want to make it about that because Carolina, they played a great game to win. And that's a heartbreaking loss for our team. I got staff members that got punched in the face. My family pushing people away, trying to not get trampled. And that's not what this game is about. And you give them all the credit in the world. It's not about the game, but obviously that was a scary ending. And this rivalry is not about that. As far as the game itself, I'll answer any questions.
So that was Shire, the clip that everybody's watched at this point in time in relation to what happened with the court storming and things like that. As I mentioned earlier, Bubba Cunningham, the AD, held an impromptu press conference after the game to talk about it and, apologized, all that kind of stuff. The ACC did fine Carolina $50,000 for not following the event protocols. Although in a statement, I'm paraphrasing here, UNC said, hey, yeah, look, we're going to pay the fine. Is what it is. But in our review, we did follow our protocols. So nothing went haywire in that regard. And I'm not saying that John Shire's making it up. What I'm asking is, in an era where everything is on camera and everybody's on the court with a camera, I am surprised that I have not seen footage describing or visually showing you what Shire described in terms of staffers getting punched, multiple staffers getting punched in the face. I've seen phones getting shoved. Obviously, you're throwing stuff. There's liquid. Like, you can't do all that stuff, right? And I've seen it at Cameron. I mean, back in 24, they're throwing drinks at the players when they're walking off the court, Carolina players when they're walking off the court, right? You can't do that stuff. That's ridiculous. If you find out who did it, kick them out, end of discussion. The reason why I think this is important, because I think it actually kind of clouds the whole debate around the court storming. And I think by now people know my stance on this. Court stormings are going to happen. I think we end up getting older and we get curmudgeonly and we forget what it was like to be 18, 19 years old on a college campus. And this is your one moment to have a memory. And you go from there. And then also there's the whole debate, why is Carolina storming the court? I'm like, folks, I said this on the After Dark, it's called context, okay? Like, put the context of that game. Of course, they're going to storm the court. Just like in the same way that I could justify the context of when Duke students rushed the court, when Sean Dockery hit a big three against Virginia Tech at the last minute at Cameron Indoor Stadium. All right. There's footage of that. Go look it up. Right. So context matters in these cases. So let the kids be kids, man. I think we get a little too sanctimonious about policing what college students do in terms of enjoying being a college student. However, if you wanted to curtail incidents, I do have a thought. I have a proposal. Follow me here. What if we did not allow people to go to games with phones? Essentially, you go to a game, and it's like when I went to Paisley Park in Minneapolis during the Final Four. What was that? 2019, I think it was.
Yes.
2019 Minneapolis Final Four. I got to check off a bucket list item. I got to go to Paisley Park to go see the Prince Studios and everything else. One of the things that happens when you go to Paisley Park is that they give you a secure bag that locks to put your phone in, because you're not allowed to take any pictures, record anything in Paisley Park. I went to see John Mulaney at Lenovo a couple of years back. And sure enough, same thing. They give you a secure bag that they will unlock on your way out because you're not allowed to film anything while you're at the comedy show. So if you can do this for comedy shows at Lenovo Center. If you can do this for a museum tour, why can't you do this for a basketball game? And you're probably wondering, Ovies, I'm not understanding why you'd want to ban cell phones from a sporting event. Well, I do think there's a direct correlation from incidents occurring on the field and on the court and your cell phone. When you rush the court with nothing, you're just rushing the court. You're there to have a good time. You're there with your friends, man. The pictures you took are in your mind. It's the memories, okay? But something funny happens when you have a phone. Suddenly you're doing it for the content. You're not doing it for the memories. You're doing it because you want to go viral. You're doing it because you want to chase clout. Suddenly it's the, here I am. And then it's one thing to just be like, here I am taking a video of me. I'm going to remember this forever. And then there's the, I know what I'll do. I know what I'll do. I'm going to take a video of me going up to Isaiah Evans. I'm going to take a video of me going up to John Shire and say, hey, man, fuck you. Right? That's what I'm going to do. The only reason why that happens is because of this. That's the only reason why. You wouldn't do it otherwise, but you want to do it because there's something in the back of your mind that goes, shit, this might make me go viral. Man, what if Barstool UNC picks me up? Oh, and if Barstool UNC picks me up, well, then Barstool will pick me up. And my friends are going to think it's great. Right? You see where I'm getting at this?
Mm-hmm.
So don't get rid of the court storming. Get rid of the phones and tell me if something like this happens. Chances are it won't. Our brains have been rewired by this fucking device, man.
Yep.
On multiple levels. Our brains are rewired because of this fucking thing. And I bet you if you put all these phones in secure bags ahead of a sporting event and the same thing happens, Carolina wins in the same fashion, you will not get those types of incidents. You won't. And maybe I'll call up Bubba Cunningham and ask him to see if he wants to do that. See how that goes. Think they'll fly with that? What's a better chance of happening? Getting the urinal trough over at the new Dean Smith Center?
The trough.
Or secure bags for sporting events?
I don't see it.
You don't think so?
Especially since a good deal of people like to gamble on their phone while they're there too.
Yeah, a little bit of a problem.
Plus, the younger generation, they cannot go without their phone. They cannot survive.
I don't know. Try it sometime. Yeah. That's all I ask. Big thanks to Miller Lending. Check them out online at millerlending.com. Call them directly at 919-447-3377. With Miller Lending, you don't pay closing costs on your refinance. I'm going to break this down with math. Typically, people will refinance about every 4 years. There's any number of reasons to refinance. Right now, it's not because the rates are lower, but you might find yourself in a situation where you need to consolidate debt. And that interest rate's a hell of a lot better than your credit card rate right now. Or maybe you want to do something like a home remodel, do a home equity, etc. These are all options that you can do with Miller Lending. But if you pay closing costs to get a slightly lower rate, that'll be useless in about 6 months. Well, it takes about 8 years to break even on the closing costs. See where the math ain't mathing? All right? Math ain't mathing there. It's kind of like Mike McDonald and the blitzes and the math not mathing for offensive line. Okay? Math ain't mathing for Drake Maye in those situations. So go with Miller Lending. Check them out online at millerlending.com or call them directly at 919-447-3377. Speaking of homes, it might be time for a new house. Maybe you need to move and you're trying to maximize the value of your house in what is becoming a very interesting market. Get the experts, our friends at Hometown Realty. Check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. You can also take all these things to close with our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. Might need to take our LLC contract, our agreement, me and Giglio's LLC agreement. See if I can talk to Whitaker and Hamer about policies as it relates to being hungover for a week. Like what happens there? Like, does it become a 5149 at that point?
Yeah, the struggle's real.
So, wh.lawyer. Are you going to be like this at the birthday bash on May 2nd? Are you going to be pre-drunk by Rand's wedding with all that OG Live?
I don't think I can.
We'll see. So check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. Also, big thanks to our guy, Chris Brassfield Accounting. Check him out online at brassfieldaccounting.com. Yes, he is based in Homer, Alaska, but he could be your fractional CFO all the way out there. if you need a little personal touch here locally, they got an office in RTP as well. With a fractional CFO, we're talking about even like some HR matters as well. But here's the thing. It's tax season. You got to get your taxes done. And if you're an OG listener and you tell Chris Brassfield that you heard about him on the podcast, he will do your personal taxes, not business stuff, your personal taxes. So hit up brassfieldaccounting.com. Again, that's brassfieldaccounting.com. Joining us in studio on the Heister Automotive Group microphone is former Governor Roy Cooper, #1 Carolina fan.
#1 Carolina fan. I'll take that.
All right.
Is this Carolina Hurricanes or Carolina Tar Heels? I'll take both.
In general,
I'll
Panthers,
take both.
right?
I'll take Panthers. Yeah.
Right.
Throw in the Hornets if you want. They're hot,
Hey,
man. They're
Hornets
so
are hot
hot.
right now, man.
They're hot. It's great. It's great that Charlotte is making a run for the play-in. It's fantastic.
So we talked to Governor Josh Stein on Thursday, and we were impressed with his setup. He had the He's Not Cup. He had a Mac Brown signed football in the background. There was no goofing around.
No, I hope both sides have fun. Both teams have fun.
No. Wait a minute.
He was all in on the Tar
Are
Heels.
you inferring that has been my position?
I'm straight up saying that all these years I tried to get you.
No.
And you would never say anything. And then Reese Davis makes like some random tweet and you're like, oh man, you were right all along, Reese. I was like,
no. Let's get things.
Do we not have? Have I not been doing this?
No. Can we get things straight here? Let's get things. I have to deal with enough politicians out here in the world who say things that aren't true. Now, what you say, I have been a true Carolina Tar Heels fan the whole time. What you're mad at,
yes,
is I won't say the words you want me to say. Right?
That's fair.
Now let's go back.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's fair.
You know what he wants me to say? He wants me to say I hate Duke.
Yeah,
and I haven't said that.
You have not,
except in saying that he wants me to say it.
That's all he wants.
Which
That's all
I
he
haven't
wants.
said. And so he takes that and says, I'm not taking a stand. Now that's twisting the truth. I have to deal too much with that outside. I come to Joe and Joe. I think this should be a safe place where I don't have to deal with that.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
I think that's just unfair.
Actually, your generation doesn't hate Duke the same way that younger ones do.
It may be.
When you were at Carolina,
North Carolina State,
your rival was
no question
NC State. So maybe
I'll never forget being in Carmichael Auditorium as Al Green, shooting about 50% from the line, made a free throw with no time left on the clock to beat the Tar Heels on Super Bowl Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Congrats to you. That's in the 70s, somewhat in the mid 70s. I can't remember exactly.
Well, it's funny you mentioned
but
that.
I'll never forget it.
The state part of it, though, is interesting in that with the OG Sports Phone and some of the responses that we've been getting, it's actually Carolina fans that have used the win over Duke to then remind NC State fans,
hey, you're not with us.
You're not with us. We are not the same. Because it's the worst thing you could do if you are a Carolina person. The worst thing you can hear is a state person try to act as though you're in the same tier. Well, don't ever.
No, I see. I can't go with that all the way because of what Joe just said.
Because of the history,
because of the history.
Yeah.
I mean, David Thompson and all of that during that period of time, NC State was clearly the main rival, and probably now football as well. So I think it's all good.
All right, so
it's all good.
We've talked about the game. Your thoughts on Carolina's dramatic? I mean, you couldn't have scripted any better for Seth Trumbull.
So my favorite picture of the night was the win probability chart.
Yes.
Which went all the way in the 70s, in the 70s up to 80 some, and then dramatically drops during the last minute. That's my favorite. And this is a team that hung in there. I don't know if Duke's the better team, maybe, but not on that night.
No,
It was a great game. It was a fantastic, and typical of UNC Duke, just absolutely typical. Most every time you're going to get a memorable game.
We were racking our brains on Saturday night for the After Dark and thinking that Duke has had, in modern times, Duke has had more of the dramatic victories, whether it's the Austin Rivers, the Tyus Jones. And I was just trying to think, and the first thing that came to mind was Marvin Williams at
And
Cameron.
I was there for that. That was a big one.
That was, but like in terms, that was at the Smith Center.
That
Sorry.
was at Smith Center.
But
I was there for that.
But the play itself was, I think, the last, at least in modern history, that like kind of dramatic ending. But even then, it wasn't the game winner, so to speak. So it usually Duke's been the one that's been giving you the gut punch, and you could tell the way that that John Shire reacted after the game. Court storm aside, that he was processing in real time what had just happened there at the Smith Center on Saturday night.
It's going to be tough next month when the Tar Heels go to Cameron.
Oh, yeah.
But you can toss out these games because teams have won both games in many years, even in a dramatic, close game. So it was a fun game. I love Trumbull. And, I know we might talk about NIL, but talk about the perfect guy to receive NIL money. And having been at a school for 4 years and having bought the Ben and Jerry's in downtown Chapel Hill and become a businessman, a small businessman, and you kind of think he's not going to draw in the millions of millions from the NBA. Who knows? He's just better and better. He's the clear leader of this team. Caleb Wilson is in one way, but Seth Trimble is in another. It was clear when he was out with the broken arm that the Tar Heels missed him desperately.
It's funny you mentioned Caleb Wilson. I mean, Joe and I absolutely fell in love with Caleb Wilson when he went viral at, ironically enough, the North Carolina TCU football game, Belichick's debut. One of these social media influencer guys got a hold of him, and he's like, we're taking, as he says, belt to ass to everybody. We're talking Wake. Sorry, Ben. We're talking State. We're talking Duke. Like, we're coming for everybody. Yeah. And it's very rare in these days to see a freshman have the kind of historical knowledge of, it's not just this one game. We want to take it to everybody. And I think it's infectious. I actually did a national interview with Matt Norlander from CBS Sports. And I asked him, why isn't Caleb Wilson getting more attention? And maybe this game against Duke does it once we get past the Seth Trimble, but we've been caught up in Cam Boozer, rightfully so. You got AJ DeBanston, you got Darren Peterson and all the drama that goes with that. But I mean, this guy's just pure joy, man. He's just fun to watch.
He took over the campus when he came.
Yes.
Early himself convinced called a whiteout before everybody else did.
Sponsors were mad that day.
In an early game. I know. I mean, he just said, this is what we're going to do.
Yes, I love that.
Giving the Beats headphones to his teammates and that video of him just giving out the gifts from the NIL money that he had. And clearly he just loves life and loves his teammates. And, it's going to be bad to see him go. But
we got 1 year to watch this, and like you said, we'll have that return game at Cameron. We'll see how when the lights are on there, how he performs. You mentioned the NIL, and it does kind of tie into how we interact with these games now, and maybe that's why Caleb Wilson has been such a revelation in that he's here. He knows he's only here for a year, and despite all that stuff, there's still a compete factor to get over on the rivals and make Carolina great, right? We talked to Josh Stein about this last week, and you've dealt with this on the local level, if you will, as the governor of the state. But now you're running for national office. And the NCAA and those in decision-making capacities keep wanting to run to Congress, to the Senate, to solve their problems, right? So now that you're in this position, you got to think about things on a national office level. What have you changed your approach? Have you looked at it differently? Are you kind of still the same in terms of thought when it comes to NIL and portal and getting involved on a federal level to do something about it?
Well, I think the NCAA does have powers to do things themselves that could set up some guardrails. We saw that with the G League issue. They came in and said, no, you can't do that. Now, the NCAA may get sued in some cases, but I think they certainly need to make an attempt to do that. And then I'll step back. I think NIL is good for these players. I mean, for years, the coaches and the schools have been making all the money. It's time they make the money. But there ought to be a way to limit this transfer portal. And I think the NCAA ought to step up and put in some guardrails itself on it. You saw the situation with Duke, with the quarterback who signed the 2-year deal, and Duke took them to court, and those kinds of things. You should have some rules set up on it. Now, it's going to result in litigation. There's no question about that. But I think the NCAA does need to step up. Now, one of the things that's difficult to do is get anything through Congress right now. I hope that I can get to the U.S. Senate and provide some consensus building help there. I've done it here in North Carolina. I know how to walk across the aisle and work with both parties, and we ought to work on something that makes sure that it's clear so that we can stem the tide of litigation here and give the NCAA and the players and teams, for that matter, a better idea of what the rules are, because right now it's pretty much everything's wide open, and teams are going to continue to try to do things, and players are going to continue to try to do things to push the boundaries here.
I'm bringing this up in a half joking manner, so hopefully you understand where I'm going with this. But as a former attorney general, you got to look at, and you mentioned litigation. Let's talk about this in a sports context, matchups. I feel like when it comes to the NCAA and the courts, it's a bad matchup. They don't
versus a 1.
They don't tend to win. And yes, every so often you might get a UMBC knocking off of Virginia, right? It's a rare instance, but for the most part, it's a bad matchup for the NCAA and the courts. So what do you do here?
The courts have pretty much opened the door to player freedom here.
Yeah.
So we got to remember that as just a basic tenet of anything you try to do going forward. But I think it's fair to have some guardrails just to protect the universities, protect the players. For example, some of the litigation that's being proposed regulates the agents that these players have. Now, a lot of these agents have left players high and dry, and some of the schools have promised things that they haven't delivered. So I think some legislation that would maybe limit agents' fees or would require schools to pay what they say they're going to pay, some requirements regarding the NIL contracts that they enter into. It makes a lot of sense to me, because many of these young players coming in, they're faced, particularly the good ones, are faced with a lot of people who are coming at them in so many ways, and it's so easy for them to get rooked in a situation like that.
Feels like sports might be the only thing to bring us together.
You know, I've often felt that sports brings people together. Yeah, you have the rivalries and all of that, but you know, at the end of the day, people love sports. People who love sports can love it together and can think differently politically. They can like different kinds of things. They can even like different teams. But that's one of the reasons why I continue to love sports and will love sports till my dying day, for sure.
You know, I would have said we all like democracy, but I'm not sure we're at that point in the current political climate. That's something that would normally bring us together.
Well,
open thought, facts, and thinking for yourself.
I certainly want to play a role in that we don't need the long arm of government getting into our lives. And I think that's really important. We're seeing a lot of that right now. So I look forward to getting to Washington. To first order of business will be to find a way to sabotage the Capitals. Second order of business.
Can we do something about Tom Wilson? That'd be nice.
Yeah, you know, this mock trial they had of Tom Wilson.
Yeah,
that hit was
on Logan Stankoven, for the context here. Yeah,
that's right, on Logan Stankoven, right in the head.
Yeah, it's
it's one of the reasons why when you're having a case that the defendant gets on the stand and you can cross-examine the defendant based on prior criminal record. So why did they not look at Tom Wilson's prior suspensions and prior
History.
No question.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty clear what he was doing, but it turned the game. And we lost the game.
I'm a
in
little
my
disappointed.
opinion, right there.
A little disappointed you did not show up today for the Olympics with like patchwork of jerseys. Like a true, United Benetton type situation where you've got USA slaving, you got Canada with Jarvis.
What about, I like
you got
Aho and Rantanen on the same line.
Right?
How about that? How about that?
Yeah. At the end of the day, they're buddies. I did see a joke about Rantanen's girlfriend or something like that. It's too cold in Milano. The shopping's not good. I want to go back to Dallas or whatever it is. And then you got Freddie Anderson for Denmark, right?
That's right.
So I mean, we got good representation in the Olympics. It's gonna be tough.
Seth got his call up.
I know, it was a great moment.
And he loved it. I think that's fantastic. And now we'll all hold our breath that we don't get injuries.
Yeah.
And somebody probably will for some team, and that'll be bad.
Yeah. Giglio and I talk about it all the time. You always say just a nice, clean look at it health-wise when it comes to the Hurricanes. And at the way things are going, and this is where it starts to get a little intoxicating, it doesn't look like the Panthers are going to make the playoffs.
It's hard for me to believe how good they are, but they continue to fade. When we play them, they seem to hit another level. I don't know.
Only after falling behind by 2 or 3
Right.
weeks.
Right.
So you're just kind of looking ahead and scoreboard watching, and you're thinking, man, if they're out of the way, this might be it.
The Tampa Bay is.
I know
those Florida teams when they get strong, that they're tough. The thing about the Hurricanes right now, just remember when you go, do not leave early. If you think we got a lead and got it made, we don't necessarily. If you think we're too far behind, we can't catch up, we absolutely can. And we've continued to show that time and time again.
I feel like I say it every year, but this feels like some of Rod's best work.
I was just thinking about it. Like, how many times have we said this might be Rod's best coaching year? And then you look to what they've had to do defensively. And then obviously, I mean, none of this happens without Brandon Bussey, by the way.
And what a story. Seeing him go to Madison Square Garden, meet Lundqvist, his childhood idol after the game, shuts out the Rangers.
Like, come on.
And he's standing there looking around, and and that picture of him and Henrik Lundqvist, and Lundqvist patting him on the shoulder. It's just amazing. I mean, it just gets you right.
No, it's
right
like
there,
you look
right
at that
there.
and you're just thinking, man, okay, sometimes things are just coming up for you. And that seems to be the case for Brandon Bussey right now. You talk about old pictures and things coming around full circle. You got that great moment for Brandon Bussey. You get to hang out with Lundqvist. You shut out the Rangers. And on the flip side of that, you get Drake Maye, who 10 years ago gets to go to the Super Bowl. He, watches his Panthers lose in a brutal game where they couldn't really do anything offensively. And then he gets to experience it. It's funny. I joked about it earlier. And I mean it with love, but it's like, Drake was, Sam Darnold was the one seeing ghosts. Remember, he's famous for seeing ghosts. I got to imagine Drake was seeing ghosts with that offensive line play in the Super Bowl. The only thing missing was Mike Vrabel in a puffy jacket on the sideline. He's right back at Carolina with that offensive line when he was there.
Yeah.
It's brutal to watch, man.
Bussey credited the defense.
Yes.
And May didn't criticize his offensive line.
Yeah.
But I think he had every reason to, because he just didn't have the time to find the receivers, and it had to be extraordinarily frustrating to him. But give credit to the Seahawks defense, man.
They're just better. This is they're just a good team.
And the coordinated blitz that they would use and that safety blitz was just amazing. The way they could knife through there, and I thought that New England would come out in the second half and will have looked at everything and maybe do some quick dumps and quick slants over the middle and trying to deal with that rush. But I didn't see a lot of that. They came out, I think, 3 and out right after halftime.
Yeah, I think so.
You said old picture. I thought you were referring to that picture.
So,
and I'm worried about our guy, Coach Williams, because he was wearing that sweater when NC State beat UNC, and he normally does not repeat an outfit that's had a loss.
It was surprising
so
to see
busted
that.
this out on
He's
Saturday.
retired now.
Okay.
So when you retire,
He
you
must
can
just
start
like
wearing
that.
the same old
Okay.
clothes. That's what happens now. But that was a great picture of
Hey,
you,
hey.
the coach, and me. What
Royce.
was your Roy sandwich?
My
that you
two
had there?
Royce.
My two Royce.
My two Royce.
My two Royce.
That was great. The exuberance of Coach Williams. Wow,
He was
I-
hype after that game.
so high.
Hype after that
And
game.
his seat, which is right over
Yeah.
the tunnel where the players and coaches go in, he communicates with them and yells at them, and it's positive. But that was quite. I wish I had been able to go, but I wasn't able to go. But I did watch every minute, and it was an extraordinary ending for sure.
I was surprised by seeing that sweater. It gets
I was
back.
stunned.
It gets back to the start of the conversation as it relates to men of a certain age and how they view NC State and Carolina. So yes, if you
Roy.
witnessed in a championship game, your team lose to NC State, that sweater gets burned.
I have a theory,
Okay.
and it's he knew his suits because he put the box score in the suit. And then when he would go to the closet, he would take the box score out and be like, oh, nope. If he didn't remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no pockets on this sweater. I think that's what happened.
That's what it was. He didn't have the box score from that championship game. That's what it was.
So I
Brilliant.
texted him. I was like, I hope you're okay. I'm like, because this is very out of character for you.
Did he respond? Yeah. No, he hasn't responded yet. Okay. I'm sure his phone's been blowing up since Saturday.
Just a little.
Just a smidge.
Just a
Just
little.
a smidge.
Just a few people. He
All right.
still has that NC State grudge.
Oh, yeah.
Even
He
even
told-
more intensely than Duke, I believe, just
Yes.
because he was from that era, as you say.
What was that story he told us while we were out at the hospital, the UNC Health Championship over at Raleigh Country Club, where they were like overseas somewhere, and
Oh,
some
yeah.
state fan came up, like, "Can I get a
Spain or
picture?"
something like
Yeah, they were in Spain. He's like, "Hey, can we get a picture?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" They tried to get him to throw up the wolf sign. He's like, "Absolutely not." He
Wow.
almost did it for like a second. He's like, "No, I am not showing up on camera doing that sort of thing." All right, so are you busier now or not?
Yeah, I'm busy.
You're
Yeah,
like-
or getting around the state, talking to people,
Campaign don't stop
running for the U.S. Senate.
The only
Yeah,
reason why I asked that is
fantastic.
I'm still a little annoyed that you didn't take us up on the OG Media Senior Canes correspondent job, that you'd rather
Yeah.
go run for national office.
I know.
I mean,
I just felt like the country needed some help and a course correction, and I felt like I might
yeah,
be
but we need
better.
Canes content, Roy.
Might be better
So
doing
you're
that.
being-
But I'm very wistful in coming in here and being with you guys, because this is what I like to do.
I guess
so
the
I'm-
question is,
Yeah.
once the playoffs start, do we get you a credential? Are you going to be around?
Yeah, I won't be as much as I was the last playoffs. I love doing After Dark with you guys, by the way,
Okay.
during the last playoffs. Maybe I can do some. I
Yeah.
can't commit to doing them all. But
How about like once a series?
yeah,
If we can get you like once a series, I think
that's
that would be
confident.
it's-
Wow,
it's-
that's confident. Once
I
a
mean, if
series. So
they-
how many of these are we doing?
I mean,
4?
Four? Yeah, I think we got 4 hits. Although something tells me if they do get to the Stanley Cup finals, you will be hanging out with us after every show.
Yeah, well, that's probably right. Cancel everything, guys.
Hey,
Cancel
campaign's
everything.
paused. You know, it's big national headlines like, Roy Cooper is suspending his campaign. What is happening? Oh, the Canes are in the Stanley Cup. That's why.
That's why.
That's why.
Yeah,
that would make
just
headlines.
Bust through that conference championship. We gotta bust. What are we? 1-15 in conference championship
It's-
games or something like
it's
that in the last
not-
few years.
it's
It's
not great.
bad.
And I
It's
can
bad.
I can chalk up the Florida stuff to just you ran into the wrong team.
They
You've run into the wrong team.
we talked about it after that last
Yeah.
loss, that this team was just too good. What did we say? We don't have anyone as good as their top 3 or 4 players.
No.
So that was,
And,
tough.
and that'll be curious. What are you comfortable with? And we'll close on this. What are you comfortable as a Canes fan once the Olympics are over and things ramp up for the trade deadline?
So I think that we need to be looking maybe for a second line center.
Agree.
I had thought earlier looking in goal, and I'm not, Bennington, they keep mentioning him as being available. He's had a horrible year. It'll be interesting to see if he plays with Canada and if he does well.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you have a change of scenery like that, somebody who's been as good as him over the years,
Yep.
because I just don't know quite where Anderson is at this point. But I think, we've gotten well, which is good. this compressed schedule because of the Olympics. I mean, some teams have like played 21 games in 40 days. It's just extraordinary what they.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing we hadn't had more injuries than we have. But if we could stay healthy, I'm feeling good. I think we always should look, Eric and the guys should look to improve if we can, because this is a year where we can do it.
There's a balance to it. You know, I'm with you on bringing in second center. I would love for Vincent Trocheck to come back.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
I would love that.
Although he really seemed to be after us with the hits and everything else. But that's Trocheck.
That's Trocheck.
That's who he is.
That's what I want.
Somebody asked me the other day, but you'd take Tom Wilson on your team, wouldn't you? And I said, yeah.
Well, yes.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like Duke fans with Tyler Hansbrough. It's like, oh, this guy. And I'm like, yeah, but if Tyler Hansbrough was in a Duke uniform, how would you feel? Like, oh, he'd be the best.
That'd be good.
That would be a great take. I would love that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm with you on that. My curiosity with Tulski is, what are you willing to give up?
That's right.
You know, and there's only like, I don't want to make a trade for the sake of making a trade. Like, if you're going to give up something of value, you better be bringing in somebody that really does take you over the top. I have no problems giving up assets, like in the context of some guys in the minor leagues, draft picks, whatever.
Right.
But if we start talking about, well, you know, we're going to throw in Alexander Nikishin. Well, you better be bringing in somebody.
Whoa.
Oh, I've seen that. There was a report.
Whoa.
There was a report a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Dave Pagnota. That threw out, well, you know, Nikishin. And I think people were misinterpreting what Pagnota and the Canes reportedly were saying. If you want to throw Connor McDavid into the mix, then yes.
McKenna, you know,
right.
This Nikishin, his ceiling is still way up there.
Way up.
And already he's good. He's just defensively, offensively. That's insane.
If you're going to make a trade for one of the guys that Rod openly gets wistful for, you know, well, then yes, you make that trade. But if we're just talking about, like, I like Vincent Trocheck, but not at the expense of giving up somebody like a Nikishin or something like that. So that's kind of where we're
agreed. On that, we agree.
Okay. See? Bringing everything together. Roy Cooper, we appreciate you hanging out. We'll have to do this again once we get
you want me to say I hate the Florida Panthers? I hate
on that.
Tampa Bay Lightning. You want me to say that? I could say that if you want me to. I'm just giving Joe a hard time today.
It's easy to do today.
Yeah, I know.
You know, he is truly testing the limits of anybody can podcast on a Monday.
I realize that we are here Monday after Super Bowl evening. So I get it. I get it.
Somebody forgets what it's like when he comes back from dry January. Yeah. So, although I see you're taking it easy too. I don't see the sun
I've
drop.
had the caffeine. I've had the sun drop this morning.
So you had the sun drop this morning. Okay.
See? Or water. So
smart man.
Moderation, Joe. Moderation. Roy,
it was too much chips and salsa and Super Bowl food for him last night. That's what it was.
Hey, look, I'm not above it. I ate an entire bag of Oreos last night while watching the Super Bowl. So
it's been done.
It's been done. It is what it is.
It
Appreciate you hanging out.
Thanks, guys.
We'll have to get you back in here soon. Big thanks to our friends at Two Roosters. Look, Jared and the crew always coming up with amazing ideas. They did the ice cream for breakfast.
Yeah, big collab with Bojangles.
I mean, just off the charts good stuff. And they got things like the Slave and Sunday, which you can get at the arena when hockey is back. You can even get it while you're there for basketball games too. So just something to keep in mind. TwoRoosters.com. It is February. It is the Lovers Month, and we got Valentine's Day coming up on Saturday. So what better way to show your love than by getting flavors just chock full of everything you love, like peanut butter. Although you said that was almost too much.
I'm interested in you having it because
I've had it. It's fantastic.
You didn't think it was too much?
No, there's no such thing as too much peanut butter, in my opinion.
There's a lot.
All the peanut butter. In fact, you could put all those ingredients and just put it in a vat of peanut butter. I would still eat it. Okay.
That's fair.
Where the ice cream is the ripple, not the peanut butter. I love peanut butter that much. So hit them up, TwoRoosters.com. Again, that's TwoRoosters.com. Also, big thanks to our friends at the Butcher's Market. If you did not do a Super Bowl party without something from the Butcher's Market, you did it wrong. But it's not too late to correct your mistakes. You got Valentine's Day coming up. In fact, shout out to Caleb. He's trying to do the whole, like, I'm going to cook for my girlfriend on Valentine's Day. He learned from the best. He learned from his dad. He's like, hey, Dad, can I have some money to go to the butcher's market, get some steak tips? Like, very, very smart. Very, very smart. So if you're looking to crush it for Valentine's Day and try to cook, go to the butcher's market. They make it super easy for you. So go to thebutchersmarkets.com. And of course, our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority, check them out online at bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save. I know it's like 15 degrees outside right now. You're not thinking about mosquitoes, but before you know it, it's going to be March. It's going to get warm. Mosquitoes will be back. Handle it with our friends at bugsbite.com. Bundle and save with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. What do you think has been filling up the OG sports phone, Joe?
Tar Heels?
Yeah.
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
All right. Much like the OG After Dark, I have not had any sort of time to screen these. So we're just going to raw dog them like we would on After Dark. We'll see what we got here. Let's get it with 919.
What is up, party people? This is Kevin from Youngsville. I was out doing a little door dashing and listening to the OG After Dark, and I got to tell you, I'm not erect, nor are my loins tingly. First off, I ain't play no Tevin Campbell, no H-Town, no John B. And second, not one mention of Quadir Copeland. All y'all talking about is some Caleb Wilson and Jay Williams and storming the court, which, if the other team storms the court, take it as a compliment. I digress. Back to Quadir Copeland. He dropped yet another jewel on Saturday on his way to a first-team All-ACC season, and it's happening. It is definitely happening. Very reminiscent of that Richard Howe season in the way that, like, fans of other schools will watch the team play and be like, I heard of these other guys, but that's the best player on your team by far. And I think he has reached that status. And the fact that he's a top-notch agitator and constantly talking only raises the level. And if we could channel the late, great Charlie Murphy, he's a habitual line stepper. Anyway, I appreciate y'all listening. And while we're at it, I always like to leave y'all with a good random question. What's better? 90s R&B or 90s hip hop? Go Wolfpack.
Ooh, I feel like that's a mailbag question, but like off the rip, I'm going to go with 90s R&B, mostly because you can't
more, but
it's not even that. Like, can we bring back New Jack Swing, please? A little bit of like the marriage of the two, a little R&B and the hip hop. Can we bring that back, please? Talk about joyful music, man. And honestly, like as it relates to like the Super Bowl halftime show, like anybody, I guess this would be my issue with anybody who had a problem with the halftime show for Bad Bunny. It's like, tell me you've never been to a place where they're just shaking ass and having a good time. Tell me you've never been in that situation before. Whereas somebody put it out on Twitter, tell me you've never been with a baddie without telling me you've never been with a baddie. It's that you have a problem with this halftime show. I would say that probably was the horniest halftime show since Prince, if you could understand what Bad Bunny was saying. Just saying. Let's go to a 919.
What's up, Joes? Hope you all are having a great time. I know I am after the Heels went on and beat Duke. But I'm not going to go on about the game itself. I'm sure there's plenty of that. But I have to mention who I know is absolutely fucking fuming at that outcome. And that is Mr. Lee Roberts. Lee Roberts having to watch his alma mater, Duke University, lose in the Smith Center that he wants to get rid of and move to Carolina North. That guy is just absolutely in the mud right now, and I couldn't be happier about it. Go Heels, renovate, don't relocate.
I did College Sports Now with Stephen Hartzell and Matt Norlander earlier today, and that topic came up. And honestly, I should have asked Roy what's actually more divisive right now, like things going on in Washington or the Smith Center debate. And man, has Lee Roberts and those in charge absolutely screwed up in like how to go about this in the wrong way. They've checked every box, man. Every box. They've gone about it in the wrong way. And Saturday did not help. I'm sure like deep to the fact that somebody would think, man, you know, who's the least happiest about this win? Lee Roberts. If that thought crossed your mind, they have lost the plot. They have lost the argument as it relates to the Smith Center and what to do next. All right, let's go to a 469.
What's going on, guys? Mikey and DF Dub. It's been a little over 12 hours now since the game ended, and after reviewing the final play just over and over again, like the Zapruder film, looking for any way that Carolina might have cheated down the stretch here, like they always do. I have determined one thing, and you can see it on the video clear as can be on the ESPN feed, top left. Roy knew that shot was money as soon as it left Seth Trimble's hands. Go to hell, Duke. Go to hell State, too, just for the hell of it. Love you guys. Later. Bye.
I love it. I love it. Let's go to a 252.
All right, let's be honest now. The court storming is a function of the way UNC won the game. They won on a buzzer beater against a rival after trailing the entire game. Had they won by 4, 5, 6 points, no court storming. It was the last second buzzer beater prompts a court storm. All right. I think that's really what happened there. All right. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that we've been getting is related to the court storm, and I think most reasonable people, and I would say this, I think this is another byproduct of, not to belabor the Bad Bunny point, but I now have to occupy various text-based social media platforms. You've got Twitter, you've got Blue Sky, you got Threads. Okay. Now I'm convinced Threads is filled with people who do not exist, more so than Twitter. Like the stuff that people post on Threads, I'm like, you are not a real person. I'm sorry. No. If you go on Blue Sky, and I kind of tailored my timeline the best that I can, there was no like ridiculousness that has happened on Blue Sky. But you go over to Twitter, man, I got everything from, I'm seeing Theo Pinson talking about like, yeah, man, I'm the one who threw the punch. Got the free lick in. I'm like, okay. He says he was joking. I'm sure he was joking. Sounds very Theo. We got people who are wondering if you're watching all these state games from the Will Wade cuck chair. Like people are just, I will say this about Twitter and some of the stuff that's gone on. Like, for instance, I'm sure we will get some more comments on Twitter about filleting John Shire. What I'm discovering on Twitter this basketball season and where we are right now is that Will Wade has made it, he should be ACC Coach of the Year because unlike any other coach in the ACC, he is making it very easy for men to be true with their feelings. Like their deepest, darkest desires they're more comfortable to talk about these things now because of Will Wade, including the desire to see you watching. I'm just saying, like, this is real stuff that I get on Twitter, right? So this all gets back to my central premise of where are all the dumb arguments taking place? Well, it's taking place on the dumb argument machine, aka Twitter. So if you don't want to deal with the dumb arguments, I have a suggestion for you. Mm-hmm. Get off the dumb argument machine. Let's go to 804.
Listen, guys, I don't want this call to be about how big my dick is, but it really is super big. Don't talk about it and don't let that be the one thing you get from the press conference. I mean the phone call. I just want this call to tell you how worried I am about player safety. Sorry, I know it's late and there might be 3 of them by name over there by Duke, but we're the only victorious boozers over here tonight. And I just have no time for Shire or Mama Flag to talk about fan decorum when they play their home games at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Guess Shire learned the art of deflection and coping from his mentor. Love y'all. Go Heels.
Remember what I was saying about your deepest, darkest desires and talking about things out in the open? Clearly, Sean letting that rip. Let's go to a 910.
Hey, OG Sports Phone. Pack fan here. I don't have a dog in the fight in this Carolina Duke game. I wish that both could lose. But I got to tell.
I gotta pause. There's so many State fans who called in with takes about this. I'm noticing. Not that we got Carolina fans that are calling in, obviously, but I do think it's kind of funny that a lot of State fans are just watching from like, look, as an impartial observer, bullshit. You are not an impartial observer.
The officiating in this game is horrible. I've seen Duke get hacked the whole game, and Carolina getting these touch fouls. It's like I hope these are not the same officials that come to Raleigh. Love you guys. Bye.
Jeez, can you imagine? Can you imagine next Tuesday if the calls go a certain way? Oh, goodness gracious. Let's go to a 704.
Hey guys, it's Chip from Weddington. Wanted to call. I've been listening to the calls in from Duke and Carolina fans. And I think I've come away with one main takeaway, and that is that I'm not sure that any Duke or Carolina fans actually know anything about basketball. Like, I'm not sure that they actually know what basketball is. Just the simple mechanics of the game. Words like credit for being tough, that's just not like a basketball phrase. I'm not sure that they understand what they're talking about when they see it, and this makes so much more sense to put in my worldview of how I can see them with when I hear the crazy things that they say in my normal life. Thanks. Bye.
Felt like a trick question. Trick call.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that did feel like a trick call. Like I said, I'm just playing these straight. Wait, what did he say at the end?
I'm not sure. It's basically that North Carolina and Duke fans
don't know ball
because they say things that he's never heard before.
I mean, sure. Let's go to a 919.
Hey guys, Chris here. Just wanted to do a little feedback on the Duke UNC game and all of the people coming out of the woodworks talking about court storming. Word of the day is context. Ovies, you did a great job on the After Dark saying that word, but I just wanted to expound on it a little bit. These are 18 to, well, sometimes 24, 25-year-olds now, if we're being honest, having a core memory, not only on the court, but for all the people in the stands, primarily the students, which are the ones storming the court. I do feel bad for any of the leftover wine and cheesers, 70s and 80-somethings that still are there in their Argyle sweaters that may have got stepped on in the process. However, kudos to the staff for getting everybody off the court fairly quickly, getting the court fairly clean, just in time for Duke to screw it up one more time. But, word of the day, context. Core memories, fantastic game. Proud of Seth Trimble for all that he's been through in his career. He deserved that moment. And an unsung hero in Derek Dixon, who went out in the first half with a little bit of an injury, and then came back in the last, I'd say 8 to 10 minutes, and played a vital role, hitting some big threes, and somehow finding Seth Trimble there at the end. But great game, always delivers, hashtag, and enjoy the show, guys. Look forward to hearing you on Monday. Take care.
You know who the biggest loser of Saturday night's game, who actually had the biggest L they had to take? It's something that I've noticed with the college basketball Illuminati, and that they do their best to try to diminish this game. You know, they're like, oh no, in the Big East, we got this matchup. You know, UConn, St. John's.
It was a really good game.
On Friday night. Good game. Didn't go your way, though, right?
Did not. No.
So everybody's locked into the UConn St. John's game. You know, there's all sorts of things that are going on. There's some SEC matchup that people try to sell you on and whatnot. You know, some Kentucky Florida game or whatever it is. I mean, I'm not saying they're bad basketball games. I'm just saying that I've seen almost like this active mission to say, Duke Carolina game, it's over, yada, 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 even though it is the unofficial start of the college basketball season. And yet it continues to do things that make you go, oh, shit. That's what Saturday was. One more, and I'll put you out of your misery. Let's go to a 984.
Yes, my name is Marvin Slade. I've been a Tar Heel fan since 1974. And for someone to say on your podcast that why did Carolina people rush the floor, y'all must not be a Duke fan or Carolina fan, because y'all know whenever them two get together, it is more than a rivalry. I mean, it's like a straight out fight. I don't care who wins. I hope my Tar Heel win. But anyway, if them two come together, they're going to rush the floor on whoever court it is. If Duke win on Carolina court, all Duke fans there, they're going to rush Carolina court. If Carolina win on Duke court, Carolina fans going to rush Duke court. If Carolina win at home, Carolina fans going to rush the court. If Duke win at home, that people going to rush the court. So I don't know why y'all made that statement stating that you don't know why they rushed the court. That's why you're not a fan of either team. That's all I got to say. Y'all have a blessed day.
Now, I don't know. He might be, because I explained why they rushed the court. I think he might be referencing Alex, because Nunley was kind of funny. I thought Nunley made a good point. He's like, why are you doing that in this game? I thought, equals and all this other kind of stuff, right? It's interesting from Alex's perspective, because I did kind of poke him a little bit. I'm like, man, State fans rush the court anytime, He's like, well, we didn't rush it the last time we beat Carolina. I'm like, you know what? Valid point.
Progress.
That's progress. The real test will be on Tuesday. Next Tuesday. If they beat, if the reckoning happens. But then again, at the rate things are going, somebody might actually have one of those rollaway beds and unfold it right there at midcourt.
Don't give him any ideas.
You think I'm the first one to think that? This might look like a Buffalo Bills tailgate where somebody's getting that action in the stands if the game ends with an NC State victory.
Don't give him any ideas.
I'm just saying.
We're fucking on the Will Wade bed tonight.
As Hayes pointed out, I did not realize that it doesn't hit the same at 1.5 speed. It's like you don't get the true sensual nature of what Brian put together with that track if you're listening to the podcast sped up. Listen to it normal speed. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Thanks everybody who called in. Trust me, if you thought you were over the logo discussion, the slobbering wolf discussion in terms of how the OG sports phone popping, something tells me we'll be getting more calls about this stuff as the week rolls on. Big thanks for Roy Cooper for hanging out. Thanks to everybody who watched the After Dark this past weekend. Thanks for everybody who rates, subscribes, 5 stars only, positive vibes only. We will see you Tuesday. We'll see how Giglio is doing. Spoiler, not as sleepy tomorrow. Fingers crossed.